What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. Another edition here of Set Bet Spike. Chris Meaney and the Eric Young here with you. George running the show behind the scenes. And as you see, we are taking part, as we've been talking about for the past few days. We weren't able to make this work last week. We're here making it work at the moment. A Set Bet Spike listener viewer league here, courtesy of Sleeper. EY, what's going on? Looks like we filled it. I feel like there's some people that are joining here that would really like to get in. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything that we can do. If there's two people hanging in, we may be able to add two more, but I'll look into that. EY, what's going on, man? Happy Thursday, the last day of August, and we are exactly 1 week away from week one of the NFL season kicking off. Let's go.
7 days, buddy, 7 days, and we don't have to talk ourselves in circles about what we think is going to happen. We're going to know, and we're going to have actual football, actual things to talk about, actual things to bet on, actual lineups to set. Dude, I mean, I still got a couple drops left because I'm a complete psycho. We've got this draft today. I'm pumped that we've been talking about this for a while, is doing drafts with the listeners, the people, the lifeblood of the show, the lifeblood of the FTN Network, and it will be cool to play one out. I know we've got a couple ideas of some cool prizes and stuff at the end of the year. You know, not really for money or anything crazy like that, but you will have, bragging rights that you beat me and Chris. Unlikely, but you never know.
Oh, trash talk already.
Looking forward to it. And I got my San Diego Charger or my LA Chargers hat come in.
Yeah, look at this guy. Still calling him San Diego. You have no problem beating him. News just came in as we started here. Jeff Wilson placed on the IR. That was interesting. I thought that him and Raheem Mostert and even Devon A-Chain, maybe not ready for week one, would be kind of like big winners from Jonathan Taylor actually not getting traded on Tuesday. But unfortunately, guys, I'm not going to be able to get anybody in. We got the draft here rolling. We could do something again, maybe on Mean Streets. If you really want to get into a league with us, I will put Eric in another league before Thursday, but it may be on like Mean Streets or something like that. We're going to get going here. We'll walk through the draft. We'll answer any questions that you guys do have. I know this is a big draft weekend. And like Eric said, I mean, no bucks on the line. We're gonna have some cool prizes for maybe the winner and certainly the winner and potentially the runner up. We'll do something like that as well. And if we want to have some fun throughout the year, weekly matchups, head-to-head matchups, you guys can always reach out to us. We can have some fun. Maybe you guys want to do some side stuff. That is acceptable. And we will talk about this league all year when we hit you guys up early in the week. To recap the week, hit the waivers, talk about the week to come, still give fantasy advice and things like that. We just wanted to have some fun with you guys here today on a Thirsty Thursday. So I hit the randomized order 5 times. Not going to lie, I wanted to hit it the 6th time because George is already crying about picking in the 11 spot, and I don't want to pick in the 3 spot. I would like to be back a little bit, but it is what it is. And we're going to get going. You got a minute. It's full point PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flex, no kicker. I threw in a defense in there, I believe. Yes, I did. And away we go. First overall, Dustin, you, my friend, are officially on the clock. Let's go. Awesome. I'm gonna have to pay attention when I do these drafts and host the show and coast with you. I tend to miss a pick and I get on auto.
You're on the clock.
I'm already on the clock. Oh, Jamar Chase. I'll do that. The draft starts Jefferson, CMC. I will go with Jamar Chase here. And we're off. Orange Man 96. I'm hoping it looks like everybody is here besides Orange Man 96. Try to tag him. He was, I think, like one of the first ones to join. I did see him tweet about his excitement and about the NHL.
Too excited.
Coming back
Too excited.
Well.
Maybe.
I feel bad for people that couldn't get in. I really do. I see some tweets. We could do something maybe we'll do something on Tuesday or just leading up to week 1. Maybe we can do something like that. I will get a hold of Orange Man so it doesn't slow us up the whole time here. Better for us, right? Nice cap, Eric.
Yeah, it's a nice way to catch our breath, talk about the picks. Like you said, it can be difficult trying to host a show and talk about your stuff and pick a good team where you're not dominating your queue and scouring other people's lineups. It makes it more difficult for us, but that's okay. It's we're congenial hosts is what we are.
we're just here so we don't get fined, all right? George, we're just trying to have some fun here today. Troy's in the house. You're on the clock. He's in a 12-man league with double flex, full point PPR score mat, similar to what we're doing here. He also has 4th overall pick, and he's struggling to decide who to draft between Kelsey or Hill. Please give me your thoughts. I wouldn't do Kelsey. I like Kelsey. I have no issue with Kelsey there, but I would take Tyreek Hill. Not sure how that draft is going to unfold. Is it going to unfold like this one where it's Jefferson, CMC, Chase, Eckler? Then you have an opportunity for Hill, Cup, whatever way you want to go. And you see Kelsey here in the 5 spot. Nothing wrong with it, right? I mean, the nicest thing about having Kelsey, and I have some shares. We've done it on this show. It's like you don't have to worry about that tight end position in the middle to late rounds. You don't have to worry about it all year long, playing that stupid tight end game. You have yourself a wide receiver 1. He is the best tight end in football. He is viewed as a wide receiver 1. He's inside the top 10 in targets and grabs all these things. And you just know what you're going to get with Travis Kelce. And I still think he is he's near the end of his prime, but he is still prime Travis Kelce, man. This guy, even after 30, he's still a baller. So what would you do for Troy here if you were in that 4 spot?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's too soon for a tight end. I get that Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce, and he's dominated the tight end position, especially in the fantasy world, and really in the NFL as well. He is a no doubt first ballot Hall of Famer. But it makes me sick to my stomach looking at my team after that. I know that I'm okay at tight end, but I really only feel confident about one position.
Right. And that's why we talk about mocking, because mock and do something uncomfortable just to get a feel of what your team would look like. What does your team look like when you draft a Travis Kelce in the first round? Your wide receivers or your running backs are not as tight. What does your team look like if you go 0 wide receiver, 0 RB, or, punt RB2, things like that, quarterback early? How does it look? NBA rigged. We're sorry. I don't know. If I could give you the team 4, I would do that, but I just don't think that is possible. I mean, I could actually pick for team 4, and you could just tell your picks, but we'll do something else. NBA rigged. You've been hanging out with us for a little bit. I know there's some people here that wanted to get in that couldn't get in, and maybe we'll do something else on a Tuesday, and we'll have maybe we'll do a weekly. Maybe a weekly league or something like that, whether it's DraftKings or FanDuel, whatever we can do. Troy, I think if you take a wide receiver, you take Cup, or you take maybe a Hill. You probably won't get Pollard, but on the way back, you could get Henry. You can do Olave. If you wanted to really get a running back, just go Eckler or Chubb in that 4 spot. When you come back, you'll be able to get Olave, Devontae, T. Higgins. You can do something like that. EY got Chubb here in the 6th. There it is. Chubb and the Olave start. That's a beautiful start, I think.
Beautiful start.
What is George got going on? I love that. Diggs and AJ. Whew, wide receiver. Not too bad.
He
Talk to me about Chubb and Olave.
To me. Yeah, I have Chubb ranked number 2. This is half point PPR. If it's a full point PPR, I might go Barkley where I go. I still love running backs. I've been zigging when everybody's been zagging on wide receivers, and we're going to find out who is right. I mean, this goes back and forth every year. Everyone goes nuts about running backs, and they're like the first 8 guys off the board. Then those guys get hurt, and then people are like, I'm not drafting a running back next year. And then everyone drafts wide receivers, and then those guys get hurt because everybody gets hurt in the NFL. So just to me, there's just so many more wide receivers available later that could easily be in a top 12 wide receivers. And there is only 3 or 4 big time running backs left. And I want at least one of them. And I got the guy that I think will end with the most rushing yards in the league, Nick Chubb. I love him.
Not going to argue that. Not going to argue that at all. Freddie I went to hit Freddie, but do you think stacking Tyreek and Waddle in rounds 1 and 3 is a good strategy? It's interesting that you bring that up, because it seems like we have here team 7, Obi-Wan 22 started Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That is an interesting start. Both top 10 wide receivers last year in targets and yards. Don't take this the wrong way. It's not for me in a redraft league. I know that they're both elite. You can get away with this, certainly. Typically, sometimes these wide receivers are going to hit cut into each other. They're not going to, like, maybe one week it'll be Tyreek Hill and the other week it'll be Waddle. That will have good games, but they have had, last year there was multiple times where they both had really good games. This isn't a best ball league and a best ball format. I'm into stacking wide receivers and getting your quarterback, and that could certainly work out here. I'm not saying that this is a bad strategy at all to take. I'm on the clock. I'll wrap up here. Najee. I think this is a super sharp room. I'm not sure I want to avoid running back altogether here, but the next guy on my list is a wide receiver. I will take Najee Harris. We'll take a running back. We'll move on. Mahomes right quick. Orange man. So I don't think it's an awful strategy. I think it's a better one in best ball formats. You want to stack, you want to get the most there. So we'll see. Maybe Obi can get Tua later, and he's got something going on there. Freddie Jerome in the house. My first time hanging with you guys, just enjoying the draft and loving the banter. Plus, I'm hanging with Eric freaking Young. Right? Like that. Like, we should screenshot that. Absolutely agree with you.
It's not as fantastic as you think. Look how I'm dressed.
No, it's fantastic. It's the best. Yeah, I mean, you're wearing a lightning bolt on your hat today. You're a big Herbert fan, and I think you look pretty good with the red shirt there. I can't tell what's on there. Is there penguins on there? Birds?
No, there's Coronas. It's like what's Cinco de Mayo kind of theme. There's a cactus. There's there's a lucha mask, a Mexican luchador mask on here. It's very fitting nice. Summertime shirt.
I have to pinch myself every day. Freddie Jerome doing a show with EY and hockey season is coming up. And
what a gift!
Yeah, what a gift. It is. It's a great gift here. George is coming up on the clock. He's the busiest guy in the world, running the show, doing boards, doing graphics, making the site look so pretty. He is officially on the clock. Diggs and AJ here is his first two guys. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna go with he doesn't know? Just keep going wide receiver. I like Dameon Pierce. You know what you're doing over there. He knows what he's doing. He acts like he doesn't know, right? So what shot props do I bet tonight? And he comes away with the shot props. There he goes. He's continuing with the wide receiver run. We are just about through 3 rounds here. Set, bet, spike on our FTN Network YouTube page, coming at you on Game Plus Network as well. Here's a question.
Yep.
This is a good question. And I don't know if you can go wrong, but my goodness, I love all 3 of those wide receivers. I have a ton of shares of them. I am picking at the 11th spot in my home league. With the rise of Calvin Ridley lately, and I see him here almost at the end of the second. Rob, I dig it, man. I know it's a touch ahead of like Smith and Higgins. You wouldn't have gotten him. I would have taken him over Najee Harris there. So, you get your guy that you want to get, and I like it. I dig that. I would rank them Ridley, Watson, and Moore. I think they're all on the same tier for me. And DJ Moore, he didn't have to do a whole lot in the preseason. I think he was like 9.63 yards per route run. Like, he just showed it. Just the throws weren't even good from Justin Fields, but that's what he can do for a quarterback.
He's never had a good quarterback ever.
Never had a good quarterback.
People are saying, and it's arguable, Justin Fields is the best quarterback he's played with. And Justin Fields, I mean, he's a good NFL player, but I don't know if I would say he's a good quarterback.
No,
not yet.
He played with Cam Newton, but that was at the end. Like he had the MVP season. That was at the end. He had some Kyle Allen in there, some Darnold, and Eric Rodman in the house. Yeah, you missed your first 3 picks. Hey, man, we tried to tag you. We tagged you on here. We tagged you on Twitter. I sent you a DM. Sorry about that, but it's not too bad, man. Eckler, Henry, Mahomes. Maybe it's not the way you would go about your draft, but you could be worse. You could have Jonathan Taylor on your squad. Should we talk about Jonathan Taylor for a minute? Placed on PUP list, not traded. How far does he have to fall for you to take him in a draft, in a redraft league? I don't care about best ball. A redraft league.
Pretty
far does he have to fall?
I just imagine I'm just not going to have him anywhere on teams that are redraft. I've done 1 million best balls at this point, so I know I have him some places. But once the contract stuff started coming and they had that back and forth, him and Jim Irsay, I've been out basically ever since.
I think I'd have crossed him off my list. Like there comes a point where it's like, hey, there's value and maybe it's worth it. But I have him ranked at RB 30. Jeff Ratcliffe has him ranked at RB 36. That's
probably where I would have him. I'd have to look at my rankings.
The Washington guys, that's after Khalil Herbert. That's after
he's not going to play, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not going to play for the first 4 weeks.
Even if he gets healthy, where does he end up? Does he learn the playbook fast enough? Like, I get, like, he's a world-class NFL running back. There's no doubt about that. But he's hurt. He's disgruntled. And we don't know where he's going to end up. There's just too many unknowns.
And you guys like your quarterbacks. You know, it's only one quarterback league, right? You guys are throwing me off here with all these quarterbacks.
I want my guy. So I draft him early.
Orange Man, welcome to the draft. Thanks for sniping me immediately. We love that. Awesome. That's awesome.
Boom. DJ Moore. Gone. You were just talking about him.
Just talking about him. I'm gonna go Burrow with Chase. You guys are all doing quarterbacks. Usually I like to go when you guys are zig and zag, but it is right there for me. And I'm gonna get a little bit of a stack there with Chase and Burrow. And there's Fields. This is awesome. The 4 rounds in, and everybody has a quarterback besides 3 teams. And I don't know if anyone's really gonna take a second. There isn't too much of a need, but we'll see what happens. Every league is different, and I say this all the time. Every draft is different. I saw Nick Chubb go first overall in a high stakes draft yesterday. First overall.
I like that.
Freddie Jerome, how soon before Kareem Hunt is a Colt? That's what we talked about before.
Could be today, right? Could be today.
Right now. Could have just happened.
Right. Maybe he goes to Miami.
You know what? With Jeff Wilson now, and Gaskin was released, and he signed.
They're kicking themselves, right? Gaskin's played there for his entire career. He knows the system. He was pretty good when he was thrust into being the starter that one year, a couple years back. They release him, and then boom! Now, man, I have Jeff Wilson everywhere, and I'm sad. I'm just sad.
I'll go another running back here. This is different. I usually don't pick in that 3 spot. I don't think I'll get some of the. I'm not getting the guys that I want. You guys are too sharp. And I get Watson. I get DJ Moore. I get Calvin Ridley. I've had 2 backs and a quarterback in my first 5 picks. I usually have 3 or 4 wide receivers at this point. I love it. I think maybe the Dolphins are going to pick somebody out. Yeah, this is what you do. You give, especially. You read the room now. Everybody's got a quarterback. The elite quarterbacks are off the board. I'm not going to tell anybody how to draft, but this would be the play for me as well. You take that quarterback in the last round. You soak up some of the other value there. You wonder if Miami knew about Jeff Wilson before they released Gaskin. I don't know.
There was no questionable tag on him. There was nothing, right? Like there's no. I mean, I took him in the flex league a couple weekends ago. I took him in a draft that I did yesterday. I'm pretty sure I took him in the CBS St. Jude's Telethon League that I play in every year. So I'm down a man already. Away we go.
And him and Mostert have been hurt, and A-Chain's not 100%. I just feel I think they bring somebody in, Hunt or Fournette. I could see something like that happening here. We'll see. Lauren, I said Lauren, but it's the LC kind of remind me of Lauren Carpenter, Stepmom Lauren, and our Sirius XM show every Saturday. But the Team 12 here had a question about in the draft itself, thoughts on Najee. I know that Jaylen Warren is getting some buzz. I've moved him up draft boards. He has risen up draft boards. Ratcliffe, other guys at FTN have moved him up draft boards as well. In the past, like Tomlin has always just rode one running back. Always.
One. The entire time he's been a coach.
This may be a year where it's a touch different because I think Warren is just too good not to play. I think he is too explosive, too good of a pass catcher not to get on the field. And I think when he gets on the field, he's going to make things happen. That said, I do believe that this is still Najee Harris's backfield. He is a really good back. He catches passes out of the backfield really well, something that Warren does as well. And I think that he's going to be the goal line back on what will be a run-first team, and a team a little bit better offensively this year with Pickett in year number 2 and Pickens in year number 2 and Deontay Johnson finally getting in the end zone, one of the better separators in the NFL, Pat Freiermuth. I think the Steelers team is going to compete this year. I don't think that they have the offense like the other teams in the AFC, but I have no problem with Najee. I have him at RB11. I have moved Mixon up ahead of him one touch just because of how Warren has played in the preseason. But I think that I'm fine with him being my RB1. I've been taking him in the 3rd, 4th round. This room seems a little bit sharp here. I don't mind him. But what do you think about Najee in the backfield?
Yeah, I think we're in lockstep. I think everyone is down on him quite a ways. But he played most of the year hurt last year, with a pretty serious foot and ankle injury. In no way do I think he's as explosive as Warren, but Warren he's not the same size, right? The truth is this is a really good complementary backfield in Pittsburgh. I think Kenny Pickett is going to surprise a lot of people this year. If you look at the wide receivers, it's a really good core of wide receivers. Pat Freiermuth is a guy that I'm getting everywhere, and I think he could be easily a top 12 tight end. I'm betting on him being a top 6 tight end, where I'm taking him. I think Warren will play, but I think Najee Harris is going to be the guy there until if he's hurt or they really decide to go the other way. And I think history shows us that this is not how Tomlin likes to call plays, and he's never used another back, significantly. And I don't know if it changes. He's had other good backups, right? And it's not a thing he's ever done.
You're on the clock, and your boy Lockett is just staring right at you, eh?
He is. But Jerry Jeudy is also there, who I really like.
But don't do it, man. You're not going to be ready to go. I don't know. Do what you want. You take right. Jeudy if you want. Leave me Lockett. I don't know the extent of Jerry Jeudy. I heard the podcast yesterday, Adam Schefter, and he didn't report this, but he said somebody had told him, an executive across the league, I believe, that they thought it was a 6 to 8 week thing. And again, he didn't. He said right after, I am not reporting this, but this is what somebody told me. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Mims needs to move up your draft board. This guy's going to get an opportunity right away.
Sutton
right
too,
away.
Right?
It's like the number 2. Oh, yeah. Sutton. I have Sutton ranked ahead of Jeudy now, in the same tier. This may seem like a reach, but the Sleeper's got him buried down the list here. And he's a fan of the show, or a friend of the show, or target of the show, Jahan Dotson. Welcome to Meanswell 11 on the squad. As my wide receiver 3, I don't hate it. Hunt could be. He could be a league. He wasn't super efficient last year. It was definitely one of his worst years in terms of some of the metrics. But the way that offense runs and what Mike McDaniel could do with his running backs, man, he could be. And the fact that he's been super cheap, a lot of shares of him in best ball leagues, just been taking him and Zeke really all summer long, just hoping they land on a squad. Unfortunately, injuries are going to happen, right?
Yep.
Eric, you sniped me just before you got on with DJ Moore. You want to make a trade? We can do a trade. Would have gone Dotson if I didn't go Terry. I do have Dotson one spot ahead of Terry. I don't know. Is that a hot take? It may be. They're on the same tier for me. One guy's going about 30 picks later. Not so much anymore. But time's up on team 2. You took Dallas Goedert there. It's not too bad. Team 2, Matthew Field. You got auto pick there, but get yourself a tight end. What do you have going on here? Chubb, Olave, Mixon, Herbert. Getting your guys. Sanders, Lockett. I like it. What does EY got going on here? Oh, yeah. Look at this trio of wide receivers. Is this the best 3 in the group? Diggs, AJ, and Keenan Allen?
Probably.
Pretty good. Trevor Lawrence as his quarterback. Cam Akers and DeAndre Swift as his running back. Some high upside running backs there. Dig it. I'm not going to.
The Philadelphia situation scares me because we've heard a report, glowing reports from every one of them at one point. Maybe not Rashad Penny, but a week ago there was people, beat writers were saying Kenneth Gainwell is the guy, right? He's practicing with the ones. He's taking the most snaps with the ones. Then the next week it's going to be DeAndre Swift, it's going to be his backfield to lose. And just who knows? Boston Scott's still there. It's a dart throw to me, and it makes it really, really worrisome to take those guys early on.
Okay, I'm on the clock here. Javonte Williams was somebody I was looking at. Thanks for that, Dusty. This is tough. Rashad White, these young buck wide receivers that I think could break out. George Pickens. I think I got to stay on brand here and ride with Pickens. Oh no, my backs they'll be too bad. Rashad White. I love a lot of Rashad White. I don't know. I think this Bucs offense may be okay, man. I don't think they're going to be super bad. I know that they went from Brady to Baker, and they looked awful last year. They couldn't run a football. They ran play action more than any team in the preseason. And I think bringing over Dave Canales, I think they're going to have more success running the football. That guy's just an offensive coordinator, that knows how to run the football. He was with the Seahawks for like 13 years. He's already talking up White about, getting the line moving with some zone reads and opening up some space for him, getting the ball in his hands. And he called him a bell cow back. He caught 50 passes as a rookie. And he showed that. I know it was a lot of dump offs from Brady, but he played in important situations protecting Tom Brady. I think that's very important as a rookie running back. That's sometimes just picking up the playbook, and pass protection is just a lot to handle for a rookie running back. And then coming in here in year two could be good for him. Pittman's your guy as well. We do have an Anthony Richardson question. What do you think about this Deshaun Richardson duo in Superflex leagues, EY?
Yeah, could be good, right? The big unknown for Richardson is what kind of a thrower is he going to be? History says that rookies often are not great at throwing the ball. I think, his big knock on him coming out of college was he's not, he doesn't have elite accuracy. He's got a cannon. He can whip it down the field. We've talked about it. He's the greatest athlete drafted at the quarterback position in the history of the NFL. He could very easily be the best runner, better than Newton, better than Vic, better than Fields. He could be the best runner at the quarterback position in the history of the NFL. Could. But the big knock was, can he throw the ball? Someone like Michael Pittman, look, he doesn't have crazy speed. I don't think he's going to catch a bunch of long balls. But what he's been always good at, even with Ellinger and all these other no-name quarterbacks, Matt Ryan, dead Matt Ryan and dead Phillip Rivers, was he separates and he gets open. And for a quarterback that's not super accurate and he's a rookie, I think guys that run crisp routes, guys that have good body position, and people that have a skill of being open, like him, Deontay Johnson, guys like that, is going to be the best friend of this rookie quarterback, because they're not going to want to throw to people that look like they're covered or have trouble getting open. So, and Matt Harmon, if there's anybody you're going to listen to about wide receivers, it's him. He loves him. That makes me love him.
Yeah. Oh, Matt is super sharp. Yeah, he's a super sharp dude. I think that's a pretty decent duo. Deshaun still, he looked a little bit better in that, that I call it the nightcap, the finale preseason game he had. He made some throws. He looked awful to start that game, that third one. But he looked better. He hit Njoku with a touchdown. Amari Cooper had like a 53-yard reception. So he looked much better in that game. Richardson, out of 42 qualified passers in the preseason with at least 60 pass attempts, he was 41. He was dead last in accuracy. He threw 0 touchdowns. Yards per attempt was awful. He wasn't great, but he did some good things. He had some good throws. There were some drops. He had some good runs. His athleticism was on full display. He showed how elusive he can be and how he can evade a sack and avoid one. That's what people like about him, and that's what you got to like about him. I know it was the second string defense in the Eagles, but they still had some good players getting after him, and he avoided some of the pressure. And a couple other things that I want to say is there was no really designed runs for him at all. He had 3 in the entire preseason. He had 1 in that game against the Eagles, and it went 16 yards. Yeah, they're not going to show all the cards. But Steve Steichen, it's going to be a very similar offense to Philadelphia. I know he doesn't have an AJ and Devontae there, but it's going to be a lot of RPOs, a lot of play action. There's going to be a lot of design runs. And once that gets incorporated into his game, he's going to open up, I think, as a passer. But it will be at times very ugly, I think. I mean, like we said before, he
Yeah.
could be the worst passer in the NFL this season and maybe even look like a bottom 5 of all time and still be a top 12 quarterback in fantasy. We talked about Tim Tebow.
Because
right?
we're talking about fantasy, right? Like the truth is running quarterbacks are the cheat code. Justin Fields he was brutal at throwing the ball. Like, not just statistically, like if you watch Chicago Bears games, it was ugly, man. It got a little bit better by the end of the year, but it was ugly. And it didn't matter if they run like that and they run a lot. Would it surprise you if Richardson was in the top 12 at the end of the year?
No, I have him ranked at 11,
Wouldn't
so
surprise
that's
me.
kind of where I finish. That's where I see him finish. I'm going to take a risk and gamble here on Michael Thomas. I don't have too much Michael Thomas shares. Do you have any?
Yeah,
do you have any Thomas shares?
I have a lot, actually.
Do you? Yeah. I mean, it seems
because of where he's going
in the 8th. Yeah, it's not like you're picking him in the first. A couple of years ago when you picked him, I picked him 3rd, 4th overall one year, and that's when he got hurt right away. But even last year was a little bit earlier than this price tag, and it kind of hurts you a bit. But this one doesn't seem like he's my 4th wide receiver. You know, if he plays 14 games, he's going to be a guy that every week that he plays, he's going to be a guy that I want to put in my lineup. And I do believe there's an upgrade here over Dalton to Derek Carr at the quarterback position. All right. I'm up again. We got 3 running backs here. Do see a couple I like on the board. But I'll wait it out a touch more here. Tight end, going to continue to wait. Quentin Johnson. Looking at Quentin Johnson, Sky Moore. Juju is he's a safe pick, but doesn't seem like there's a lot of upside there. I'm going to go Sky.
Yeah,
Sky
I've read some bad reports from New England saying that he just has no explosiveness in his route running anymore, and could be at the end of the line for him.
If he thinks he's going to post a TikTok a week, Belichick is going to have that phone. He's going to steal that phone from him. There'll be no TikTok posting on practice days. There's no chance. I feel like somebody has to catch passes in New England, though. He is in the slot. Mac Jones is accurate. Last year was a mess. It was Matt Patricia calling plays, who was a defensive coordinator, really, who's now in Philadelphia. Bill O'Brien will do things, I think, for Mac Jones, but there's not a lot to like about what's going on in New England. I think that Ramondre Stevenson may just be 2nd or 1st on this team in targets and catches.
Yeah, it could be real ugly. Real ugly.
All right, you're on the clock here. Beckham, got your guy. You're just staying on brand here with your guys. What do you expect from Beckham here?
Yeah, I'm trying to follow my list. Like, there's nobody in the NFL, no team, and especially me and you who are outsiders and have no idea what's going on, that know Odell Beckham better than the Baltimore Ravens. They bring him in for workouts, he impresses them, and they pay him $15 million. Look, I get that the salary cap in the NFL is made up, but you don't pay a guy that kind of money. He's the highest paid receiver on the team. And I'm not saying he's going to be the number 1, but what if he's 80% of what Odell Beckham was the last time we saw him play in an offense that is going to throw the ball like crazy? That's all we've heard. That's been the steadiest drumbeat out of Baltimore is pace of play and throwing the ball all over the field. And I know everyone loves Zay Flowers, and he went earlier in the draft, and I've got him in some places, but I'm not taking a rookie that hasn't played a single snap in the NFL that's short and is going to play in the slot over Odell Beckham. I'm just not. I'm not going to do that.
You're going to regret it. I think you're going to regret it. I'm just kidding.
I regret nothing.
I regret nothing. I love it. Zay Flowers, I think, is. I mean, yeah, there's all of a sudden there's a lot going on. But
It's not an anti-Zay Flowers take. I'm just saying, if you say take one of the two, I'm taking Odell Beckham every single time. Every single time.
And I get where you're coming from there. Yeah, Zay Flowers will have a lot to learn, but yeah, he's going to see a lot of one-on-one this year with the attention that OBJ and Andrews are going to get. Plus, you got to worry about the dual threat ability of Lamar Jackson. I'm excited about the Ravens' offense. I haven't said that in years. Like Anquan Bolden one year, I was excited about him and Flacco when Flacco was like rumored to be elite, and they won the Super Bowl and they won all those games on the road. But he did have some interesting weapons on that squad. But this is like. Todd Monken comes over, and I know he's going to run a lot of 11 or 3 wide. You're going to see a lot of 3 wide at times, which is just something you just never saw, right? Duvernay and Boykin and Bateman has been their best guy over the past couple of years, but he's been hurt both years. So OBJ's still a really good route runner. Still got great hands. I think Flowers is a good one too. Take Bigsby. Steal my running back targets. I like it. Oh, TJ Hawkinson extension. Thank you, Albert. Good. He hasn't been playing and practicing, but it's because of an ear infection. So I think he's going to be good to go week 1. I'm a big Hawkinson guy. Where did he go in this draft? Round 4 here. To the Vikings fan.
Could be a big year for him, right? Really could be.
Yeah. We love hearing that. Yes. They just used him in Minnesota where he wasn't used in Detroit. I mean, his target share immediately was like 22%, 6 grabs a game over 10, 60 catches. That's on pace for 102 grabs. Travis Kelce led all tight ends with 107, 109 catches. It wasn't used deep down the field. Those were short short average depth, but who cares? Like, if you're targeting a tight end, that's all you can ask for. Like,
tight end is an absolute disaster, right? Tight end is a disaster.
I think him and Darren Waller could get 100 grabs this year. Waller is going to be the offense is going to run through him. Clearly, the offense is running through JJ, but I like Kevin O'Connell as a play caller. Kirk Cousins is fine as a quarterback, and I think Hawkinson's in for a good year. I like it. What do we got going on here? What'd you just do? Mostert. Nice. Yeah, 8 chain just before you.
Mostert. He's the starting running back for the Miami Dolphins. Yes, please.
Yeah, I know. It's been going super late all summer long in drafts. You guys are snatching up all my guys that I like. Snatching them up. I dig it. Oh, let's do... It doesn't sound like Romeo Doubs will be ready to go week 1. He's uncertain, but I'm going to go. If I don't get Watson, I try to get Doubs.
Yeah,
if I don't get him, I try to get Jaden Reed. I just try to get one of those Packer guys. There's real opportunity for all 3 of those guys this year.
I think so too. And I think like Carson Watson, I think has the most upside and should go where he goes. But I mean, I know that you're a Reed guy, and the drumbeat for him the entire offseason and even preseason games, he looks like the real deal. Romeo Doubs, I mean, when he was healthy, he was lighting the league on fire. Christian Watson was an afterthought when Romeo Doubs was doing his thing, right? Like, it wasn't until Romeo Doubs went down that season where Christian Watson was kind of thrust into play, like early on in the year, that he drops that bomb pass for Rodgers, and Rodgers is like, well, I'm not throwing to him again, which is insane. Obviously insane. But that's what happened.
Another KC guy. Did some spike weeks there. Jerick McKinnon in a pinch. Put him in my flex. It is a PPR league. Love the Nico Collins pick. Mims pick. Yeah, I like those ones there. No IR spot. So if you are drafting Jeff Wilson, just be aware. You're going to have to stash him for a few weeks. I think you have an IR spot. You're doing people favors. You got to make it tough to hold an IR spot. Or Jameson Williams suspended. You got to make it tough. You can't just put this guy, on a IR or inactive and then pick someone else up.
If it pleases the court, I don't like playing in leagues without IR spots.
No, I don't. Get rid of them. I don't want them.
We're on opposite ends, man. We're on opposite ends. Draft is such an important part of the thing. Yeah.
I like him in hockey. That was something about NFL. I don't know. But in hockey, I need like 3 of them. Man, when 2020, when COVID hit, I had like 5 of them because guys were just getting placed on like the IR like every other minute. Here's a question here. I just see it now, Jeb. My apologies. Oh, what's happening? Oh, we had our first little mess up there. Whoa, Rob. Niners and Eagles. I almost want to reverse it for him. Like, should I do that?
Yeah.
You snooze, you lose. You got 2 defenses. There we go.
All right. That's
I didn't do that. How did you do that?
I didn't do that.
No, like, how did Rob do that? How did that happen? Or maybe just Sleeper did that? Sleeper gave them the Eagles defense and then realized?
It says that he's on auto. This is I haven't done that yet, but Anthony Richardson is too far down, and I'm taking him.
We've talked you into it. But when are you ever going to start Richardson over Herbert? You're not.
Not ever. But what if
maybe you're going to trade somebody in this league?
What if Anthony Richardson blows up and someone has our rosters are deep enough, and how my starting lineup looks, say after week 2 he's a bum and I drop him, in the 11th round, it doesn't matter.
In a scenario like this, and we'll open up trades in this league. Of course, it's fun. We'll trade. Yeah. I mean, you could fleece EY and tell your buddies about it. How fun that would be. If Richardson balls out and goes off, Herbert all of a sudden is a guy that you would trade, right? Like you would consider Anthony Richardson, ceiling's high, everyone's excited about him, but Herbert is definitely the bigger name, more of a return. I've seen that before. That has happened where people think, I'm going to trade this young, exciting rookie or sophomore that has broken out. But you also have a stud in Herbert where maybe you can get yourself something really nice in return. The offer would be better there. As opposed to trading Anthony Richardson. Rashawn Johnson, somebody I thought about over Jerick McKinnon. I don't know why I thought he would come back. You guys are way too sharp in this room. Interesting backfield here for Chicago. Did you get the stack? You did get the stack. Okay. You got Hill, Waddle, and Tua. All right. Nice. You got it done.
Very well done.
And then Herbert and Johnson there. That's something that I think you're starting Khalil Herbert in the first few weeks of the season. I'm a big believer. Like if I could pick a couple league winners towards the end of the season, Rashawn Johnson would be on that list for me. I think he's a really good running back that could do a lot of different things, catch passes, run through people. He's got some nice jukes to his game, agility. And I think that he could be a real special player. He's a big time target of mine. And
where he got him, I mean, he got right. You were saying he got Herbert earlier. He's going to start. He's going to be the guy, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He gets banged up, and I believe Rashawn Johnson it would be the starter there. Deontay Foreman is a guy that I like, but they're not going to lean on Deontay Foreman. He's going to be short yardage and goal line at best. Yeah. And Rashawn Johnson, I think he's a big dude, man.
Oh yeah, I think
a lot of people that were. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
A lot of people that, that I trust for reporting on and ranking people coming into the draft had Rashawn Johnson as the number 1 running back on their list.
Yeah. Man,
a lot.
He really impressed me with his runs in camp. And I think that's important. And I don't want to say, camp isn't everything. The Steelers crushing the second team offense, third team offense or defense. You take that with a grain of salt. At least they're doing it. If they didn't do it, then you would have questions. It's like, they don't look all that great. Is Pickett ready to take the next step? Is Rashawn Johnson really that good? But Rashawn Johnson, what happened? Did you get sniped? Did somebody take?
Yeah, I was eyeing Damian Harris. And I think he's going to score some touchdowns in Buffalo. I believe that.
I think so too. It was a big talking point.
So.
It was a big talking point over the weekend when he had a red zone rushing attempt that he converted for a touchdown. I made it not a big thing, but I tweeted about it and I joked about 8.5 over effort. Let's not forget 2 years ago, he had 15 rushing touchdowns on the New England Patriots.
It's what he's
now he's on a much better offense in Buffalo that will have more opportunities to score inside the red zone. And I think that, health is a concern. But if you just give him 9 to 10 carries a game and I don't know, 4 a game inside the red zone, he's going to return value as running back 45 currently, I think, off the board in drafts. I think he's a good target as well. You guys are starting to snake all our targets. This room is nice. Tough. This is tough for me. I do have Bigsby ranked ahead of Rashawn. I believe that they're on the same tier for me. I think that there is a clearer path for Tank Bigsby to get some rushing attempts and maybe some goal line work. I know he fumbled near the goal line in his third preseason game, but ETN, I think he led all backs tied for all in fumbles lost last year, and he did struggle at times near the goal line as well. So Bigsby there's just a clearer path for him where you got to worry about, even though Deontay Foreman is there, and we said he's third on this team. There's still Fields, a running quarterback who had 1,100 rushing yards last year. And I do believe that Chicago wants to rotate through all these running backs, but I just think the skill set, Herbert will take the lead off the hop, and I think Rashawn will get sprinkled in there, and he's too good not to touch him. So I would lean Bigsby there, but both of those guys are really good. I think they're really good targets.
Yep.
I was hoping to get one of them, and I didn't get any of them. Ooh, Deuce Vaughn, I like that. Tajay Spears, another guy. Hey, what's going on with Tajay? Like, I know it's Derrick Henry, but man, he had a pretty good
They
camp,
apparently
didn't he?
love him. Yeah, they love him.
Gotta
He
love
played
him.
really well in the preseason. Looks explosive. Looks like a good pass catcher. I think that he's going to play even with a healthy Henry. He's going to play, and he's going to play a fair amount. I think last year they had Henry catching some passes. I think that probably doesn't happen as often this year because I think Tajay Spears is probably better at it. Henry's a guy that takes 3 or 4 strides to really get up to speed. Henry is my favorite player in the NFL. I've never hid that. I have one NFL jersey because I hate how they feel and hate how they fit. But I have one jersey, and it's a Derrick Henry jersey. And that's the jersey that I wear on Sundays if I wear one. But I think Tajay Spears is going to play. And I think if and I don't think it's likely, if Henry gets hurt, Tajay Spears could really go off.
Just got sniped there. Kendra Miller is another young guy. I know there's a lot going on there. Man, Kareem Hunt. This guy's gonna go somewhere, right? He's gonna sign somewhere, isn't he? I don't care about him. Let's go. I'm gonna do another tight end here. Believe it or not, I'm gonna go back-to-back tight ends, and maybe Sam Laporta will break out. Schultz and Laporta. Jets D, get some defense coming off the board here. Well, Rob again has 2 defenses. Nothing that Sleeper could do about that time with Dallas and on the 49ers who went really early. Okay,
way too early.
I think you want to wait it out as long as you can at the defense position. I think the Steelers are certainly a team that you can target as a defense as well. Yes, George keeping us in line. We are going to say goodbye to Game Plus Network right now. So everybody watching, if you want to hop on over to our FTN Network YouTube page, hop on over, see the rest of this draft. And we do appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with us all summer long as well. This will be the last episode here of Set Bet Spike on Game Plus Network. But if you like Eric Young and myself, hop on over to our FTN Network YouTube page, free content. Danga Botselli around the corner as well. We'll be with you all season long in the NHL and NFL to help you win some cash, have some fun, talk some fantasy, create a distraction in your life. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Good luck with all your drafts. Talk to you soon. All right. We'll keep going here. Let's see. What has George got here for his squad? Started off strong with 3 wide receivers. Well, Trevor Lawrence. That's right. Akers and Swift. Bust DeAndre Swift. That stinks there, bud. Pat Freiermuth. Ooh, Addison. Treylon. Like it. Some high upside wide receivers. Samaje catching balls out of the backfield. Myers and Zay Jones. Not bad. Not bad. You'll compete. I think you need a couple more running backs here, though. You might need to dive into the running back room pretty soon. Maybe you get Hunt. And Hunt sign. Oh, he's not doing it. He's not diving into the running back room. He's going Luke Musgrave. He's getting another young piece there. I think he's heard enough
huge
of
upside, right?
Running routes on the field, running routes. This Green Bay offense, man, it's young. I think it's exciting. It's some uncertainty. I would be excited if I was a Packers fan. Like, whatever. Rodgers is gone. See you later. You got Watson, second-year wide receiver. Romeo Doubs, second-year wide receiver. Jaden Reed, first-year wide receiver. Maybe the best 1-2 punch to the backfield, and Jones and A.J. Dillon. And then you have Luke Musgrave and Tyler Kroft. You got a couple young tight ends there. It's not bad, man. And he's really moved up draft boards, though. Musgrave?
Yeah. Yep. The buzz, right? It's just been constant. It's been steady out of camp, playing pretty well in preseason. After Kelsey is the undoubted number one. If there's a tight end that goes before him, I want that guy to be in every league and embarrass him. That's what I want. And then it's like Andrews, arguably from there, it's Waller and Hawkinson, maybe 1 or 2 other guys. And then it's the same. You mean like it's a dart throw, and I've got Greg Dulcich on a bunch, and that really has nothing to do. I mean, he was a highly regarded player coming out of college. They were talking him up last year. He didn't do much. He got banged up. But Sean Payton loves to scheme the tight end for touchdowns. And thinking about all those years where Jimmy Graham dominated, Greg Dulcich is the same kind of athlete that Jimmy Graham is. Is he going to be as good of a football player? I don't know, but he is the same kind. He's tall, pretty good speed for a big guy. They talked about lining him up in the joker position, which is what Jimmy Graham played in New Orleans. So it's going to be, I think it could be a really big year for Dulcich. And I have him, I bet you I have him on 80% of my best ball teams and probably maybe close to 80% of my actual teams as well.
I think he's the highest tight end in terms of my exposure for me over at Underdog Fantasy. He's just been going super late. I agree with everything that you said. And people that are talking about him not getting the reps in the preseason, I think Peyton is saving that. I think he's not
100%.
showing his cards.
Peyton has done this for years. He's done this for years.
He's not. And people that are talking about Adam Troutman again, like what year is it? Adam Troutman was with Peyton. I get it, in the Saints. He was always like that breakout hype guy, and just nothing ever happened.
Because he plays a lot, but because he blocks, he's a good blocker, and that's what he's going to do.
They traded Albert O to the Eagles. That was a great buy low by Philly. Dulcich is gonna, and especially with Jerry Jeudy missing time here, and Marvin Mims, who, I mean, I like Marvin Mims. He went here in the 10th round to Orange Man 96. I know he's super small, but think about it. That was Sean Payton's first pick as a member of the Broncos, trying to fix their offense. That was their first pick. They didn't have a first-round pick because they traded a bunch of capital for Russell Wilson. And not only did they pick him with their first pick in the second round, they moved up. They traded up to get him. So I think that's very telling, and he's going to have an opportunity right off the hop, and Dulcich will as well. Okay, so just some flyers here at the running back position. This may seem like a reach, but guys, get to know Ty Chandler and get to know him immediately. I know Madison's going to have an opportunity here right off the hop to be the guy. I know he's had some good games without Dalvin Cook there, but Ty Chandler, they cut Dwayne McBride as a guy that they just drafted. I know they signed Myles Gaskin there, but Ty Chandler is a good back. He's a good pass catching back, and I think he's going to get some runs. And this team is going to be throwing a lot this year, so I'm happy to get Ty Chandler there.
In a dynasty league I play in, it's a Sirius Satellite Dynasty League. It's full IDP, for true psychos, and I love it. I'm in that with a bunch of really sharp guys, and you have $1,000 for Fab, and I spent $301 to get Ty Chandler. So,
oh baby, nice. Okay, last skilled position pick here. Chase Brown is another kind of interesting, maybe a little dart throw as a third down back, 2-minute drill back, the Samaje Perine role. Let's see, another wide receivers, some decent. I still like Mechie, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Isaiah Hodgins. So some decent players out here for the people, but I think I'm going to take Chase Brown. When I had Paul, it wasn't Paul Danier Jr., it was Jay Morrison. Jay Morrison, who my former colleague at The Athletic, I worked with both him and Paul Danier Jr. They covered the Bengals. They had a podcast. Hear that podcast, Growl, and I learned a lot from those two guys and a lot about the Bengals, of course. And had Jay on Mean Streets a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about Mixon at the time. There was wondering if he was going to get suspended, and that's just not going to happen. But I said, with Samaje Perine gone, like Mixon is a good pass catching back. He's if you go look, and he's had multiple years with just a ton of catches, but he doesn't play third downs. He doesn't play in 2-minute drills. It's always been Samaje Perine. And now with Perine gone, that was a question, are we going to see another added element here to Joe Mixon's game? And he said, no, Mixon is still not going to play in third downs, maybe here and there. He's not going to play in 2-minute drills. It's going to be either Chase Brown or Chris Evans. And he gave the nod to Chase Brown. It'll be interesting how that plays out. I mean, Mixon is good enough, but for whatever reason, Zach Taylor in the offense just, hey, it's not.
It's a real strange thing that he doesn't, right? He has the skill set to play.
Yeah.
He's a good blocker. He's an excellent pass catcher. I've never understood it, right? I mean, he's a big guy, super fast, super explosive, great with the ball in his hand. He's a world-class athlete, Joe Mixon. And for him not playing in the 2-minute drill and on third downs, I mean, I get maybe not doing it all the time, because he carries the ball so often. But him not doing it at all never made sense to me over, Samaje Perine over him. And that's no slight on Perine. Perine is just not the athlete that Mixon is. He's not even close.
Right. Nathan in the house, any high stakes online draft leagues to join? $500 range, 350, 400. Absolutely. NFFC. We talked about it a lot, I think, on Mean Streets, just like the ADP and following things like that. NFFC, yes. And we are going to do a Beat Meaney. It may even be this weekend. I'll tweet it out. It could be early next week. We're going to do I'm going to join a high stakes league. I'll stream it. And if you guys want to compete, I'll send the link out. You can join. But yeah, NFFC is where it's at. NFHC, same NFC company. We'll do some hockey. We'll do a Beat Meaney. I'm already in touch with them about doing one over there as well for a hockey one. So that's the site to check out. And we already have a lot of content, Nathan, on this FTN Network YouTube page from probably arguably like the top high stakes players in the league. Nelson Souza, Vlad Sedler, Matty Wood. These guys have been drafting all summer long. And there's probably a good 6 to 7 drafts if you wanted to go and watch them here. They're under the fantasy football and betting playlist here at our FTN Network YouTube page. Plus, we have high stakes rankings and articles and all that good stuff as well. I'll let you take it away here. Purdy, I've had some allergies here, so I'm going to blow my nose. EY, you drive us home here. What do you think in your last pick?
Yeah, I mean, you want more depth at the running back or wide receiver position. I'm looking through the list here. I mean, Jeff Wilson is still there. I know that he's hurt and he's not going to play, but could play later. Zamir White is somebody that is interesting to me. Joshua Kelly for the Los Angeles Chargers. Eckler has been banged up before. The stuff that I've been reading saying Joshua Kelly is undoubtedly the number 2 there. I love that offense. Obviously, I'm wearing the hat to support it. Deion Jackson, because who knows what's going to happen in Indianapolis, is interesting. So, there's a lot of places to go on the wide receiver position. You had mentioned John Mechie. He's a guy that's in my queue and on my list. Rashid Shaheed in New Orleans, I think it could catch a ton of balls this year from Derek Carr. I think about him in that Hunter Renfrew role, someone that obviously Derek Carr loved to throw to when he was healthy. We don't know what's going to happen with I think it's undoubted that Olave is the number 1, but we talked about Michael Thomas and like what he could be. Obviously, he's going to go before Rashid Shaheed, but Shaheed could be the slot guy here if Thomas isn't who we all think he's going to be. So, last pick, it's a complete dart throw. I don't know, and I don't know what I'm going to do.
I wanted to say, Nathan, there is a high stakes podcast too. Vlad just tweeted that one out. I think their first episode, maybe I think they've had a couple already here in this off season. At Chris Meaney, I tweeted it out earlier. I'll post a link to the podcast in the description of this video for you as well, Nathan, if you wanted to give that a listen. The guys will be with you all year long, helping you out. So even watching some of the draft videos to get you set for the draft, but these guys, they're super sharp. They're going to be with you all season long. They'll talk waivers and help you. So that's a podcast I think that you want to subscribe to for free. Nice little pick there at the end with Wilson. So you went to Zamir White. Okay. I'm happy to get the Steelers defense. I have them ranked as a top 5 defense. I know they start off against the Niners. The schedule isn't too bad. As long as Watt is playing, this is a defense that can get after it. So I'm happy to get the Steelers. Some other defenses, I think, like Washington has Arizona week 1. If you like to stream, that's a good option for you as well. But they do have some tougher opponents, I think, after that, if you wanted to get in on them. This was fun, guys. We made it through just in under an hour, and we'll play this thing out. This was a whole lot of fun. We will definitely reward the winner. We'll follow this all year long. We'll talk about it here on the show. We'll talk some waiver wire stuff with you guys, recap the week, set you up for the week to come. And let's take a quick look at some of these teams here. Let's start with George. Diggs, AJ, Keenan Allen. I think he's got the best 3 wide receivers in the room. Let me see him. Scannon, Metcalf, Cooper, and McLaurin. Williams is pretty good 4 there. Kupp, Adams, and Godwin's a good 3. JSN, Hill and Waddle, obviously, with London and JSN there. That's interesting. I do like year 3 here with Lockett and Pittman and Olave. Chase Smith, Dotson. Who's that sharp guy? Higgins, Ayuk, Kirk, and Judy. Okay. All right. Like that 4. Jefferson and Debo, Hopkins and Marquise. It's a good 4 as well. But yeah, that's a really good 3 there, George. You got Trevor Lawrence, top 8 quarterback. Cam Akers, DeAndre Swift. Pat Freiermuth, you got some young upside wide receivers here. Jordan Addison, Treylon Burks. Took the value on Jacoby Myers and Zay Jones. Luke Musgrave, interesting young tight end. Kareem Hunt, right? We just talked about him. You see where he signs. If he signs with the Colts, if he signs with Miami, signs anywhere, it'd be good news for you. Brock Purdy, there you go. Look at this guy as your second quarterback. Brock Purdy, I dig it. And then the Chiefs defense there. Are you grading that, EY? What do you think? Just maybe running back room's a little thin?
Yeah, that's for me. It's not a team that I would feel super comfortable with, but that's just because I'm a running back guy. I'm not moving off of that. I know that the entire industry and all the experts are saying wide receivers, draft them early, draft them often. I did that in the flex league. I got 3 studs at wide receiver, but I'm not really a massive fan of that team because I feel like I'm weak at running back. Look, Cam Akers could be a top 12 guy for George. Could be, but
and Swift has that upside too. There's a lot going on in Philly.
He's there. There's too much going on. I just don't think. I think Swift, if he was going to be the superstar player, he would have been good in Detroit, right? That's just what I think. Nobody knows DeAndre Swift better than the team that drafted him, better than the team that trained him, better than the team that had him for 2 or 3 years, and they gave him up for nothing. Nothing. Right. I know that Philly has a good offensive line, just like Detroit did, but the reality is all of those backs are going to play, and we've seen that over the last 2 or 3 years, right? Like every back is going to touch the ball. He's just not going to touch it enough for him to be valuable. That's what I believe, especially where he's going. He's going too early.
George, your team will compete, dude. Those wide receivers are too good, and Lawrence, you'll compete. You just need to be active on the waiver wire for a running back. So what did you get here? So Chubb, Olave, Mixon, Herbert, Miles Sanders. You got Lockett, Pittman, Cortland Sutton, Odell Beckham, Jr., Mostert, Anthony Richardson, Tyler Algier, Dulcich, and Ferguson. So 2 tight ends there towards the end. You did something similar as me. Saints defense. Love the Saints defense. Derek Carr finally has himself a top 10 defense. And then Zamir White. Excuse me. Walk me through your thoughts on this squad. I think and
this is an EY team.
You don't have.
If there was ever an EY team, this is it.
You got your guys.
I got my guys, and the truth is we're all guessing, guys. My track record has proven over the last 17 years of playing fantasy football. I've got a ton of championships in all kinds of different leagues that I'm pretty good at guessing. Yeah, but the reality is we're being honest here. We're all just guessing. We don't know. And the truth is it's supposed to be fun. So the guys that I believe in, the guys that I talk up, if I'm looking at my draft list, this team is a juggernaut. I've got, looking at receiver, even though I kind of waited, I got Olave. He's a number 1 on his team. That's how I think about it. Michael Pittman is the number 1 on his team. Tyler Lockett has been the number 1 on his team, even though he's never been considered that and never been drafted that way. So I love having him there. Odell Beckham has been a number 1 in every team he's played on, except for when he played for the Rams and they had Cooper Kupp. Cortland Sutton is now the number 1 in Denver. So even though I waited a bit, not with Chris Olave, I wanted to have a number 1 receiver, but I waited and I have really good running backs. I got 2 dart throws that I absolutely love at tight end. The Saints defense will be a top 5, I believe, in the first 6 weeks. And then after that, I can move around and stream. And if I'm wrong, so yeah, I absolutely love this team. I love it. I can't wait to dominate.
I think your wide receivers are a little weak, but you make good cases for all of them. Like Lockett has finished ahead of DK in back-to-back years in fantasy. Pittman is the 1. Beckham has the upside to be a 1, and Sutton at the moment is clearly the number 1 in Denver at this moment. Plus, you got Dulcich there as maybe a guy who is leading the team in targets as well over the first few weeks of the season. Ferguson is a nice, sneaky little tight end who is talented. Dalton Schultz is gone now, and he moves on.
Yep.
It's not a miracle if Olave outscores. No. Those guys are on the same tier as me. I have them separated by like a handful of fantasy points. And Olave, as Eric said, is the one on his team. I mean, Michael Thomas, I don't think Olave needs Michael Thomas to go down to be the number one, but the attention will always be on Michael Thomas. If he is healthy, that's going to be a good thing for Chris Olave. He's still going to get a lot of attention, especially inside the red zone. Olave proved last year that he can be a one. He can handle top coverage. He was a rookie. Thomas went down early. He already handled all that, just like Devontae Smith in his rookie season. Yep. He had all the attention. They brought in A.J. Brown, and we started to see Devontae Smith take his game to another level. With Smith and Waddle, these guys are like 1Bs on their squad, right? Still got to deal with AJ, still got to deal with Tyreek. Chris Olave, I don't believe that it would be a miracle in there. And then for my squad, Chase, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris. It's a little bit of a different draft for me. 2 running backs in the first 5. Thanks for the bats. Joe Burrow early. Dotson as my 3. Rashad White is a guy that I own. I have a lot of shares of. Michael Thomas, speaking of Michael Thomas, I don't have a lot of shares of him, more so in best ball than redraft, but we talked about the risk. It's not as it's high risk, high reward. It's in the 8th round. There is a ceiling there for Michael Thomas. He could finish as a top 25 wide receiver. He could be on the waiver wire by week 3. Sky Moore, I do believe the reports in Kansas City as Rashee Rice and Kadarius Toney or Justin Ross as gadget players in packages for Andy Reid. I think Sky Moore in year 2 here with the team, taking the Juju Smith-Schuster slot role. I think Sky Moore is in for a breakout season. Yeah. I do like him a lot more than Kadarius Toney. Romeo Doubs, same sort of deal. Young wide receiver, definitely some upside and some opportunity. He's fallen down draft boards a little bit because of the injury. It's just week 1. If he doesn't play, I wouldn't worry about it. I want Christian Watson if I don't get him. I want Romeo. If I don't get Romeo, I want Jaden Reed. Where did Reed go? Reed went somewhere in this draft, right? Somebody hopefully took him. Oh, yeah.
Don't know.
Dustin.
I imagine.
Dustin. Yeah, good pick. And then McKinnon, just a high upside guy. Chandler, these are pass-catching running backs towards the end of my draft here with Chandler and Chase Brown and Jerick McKinnon, 9 receiving touchdowns last year. I like Pacheco. I try to leave with one of the 2. Pacheco, McKinnon could be a split backfield, but it's a good offense. They're going to score a lot of points. Steelers defense there. Dalton Schultz and Laporta. Schultz should get an opportunity. I mean, someone's got to catch some passes in Houston. Nico Collins, I like. Dalton Schultz, I like. And Sam Laporta should really, as a rookie tight end, this guy has a clearer path for fantasy production right away over Michael Mayer and over Dalton Kincaid. There's no Jameson Williams for 6 weeks, and we're not really believing in Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, and Marvin Jones, I don't think, at this point of his career. So the team's okay. Do you want to grade? As we get out of here, do you want to take a look just quickly at other teams? Is there another team that you like? Is there anything that stood out here as we look at the draft board? It looks like we still have some of our listeners and viewers still hanging out here and looking. Here, talk about how Eric wants us to grade his team. Talk about how bad his team is. Well, you missed the first 3 picks, dude. There it is.
That's tough.
Down the river, trash can. You missed the first 3 picks, but you did okay with Eckler and Henry. Mahomes.
I like that start.
Argue about Mahomes. Mahomes got you got the GOAT. DJ Moore is your first wide receiver. Maybe some highs and some lows. Not really a wide receiver 1, but he does have upside to have some wide receiver 1 weeks for you. Waller, I think he got back into it. You got a tight end that may just lead your team in catches. If he stays healthy, offense going to run through him. Pacheco is your 3rd RB. Zay Flowers, you talk about Zay Flowers, liked his right running ability, and he's going to see a lot of one-on-one there. Gibson, wide receiver converted running back, now going to move all over the field, out wide in the slot. He's going to catch some passes. J.D. McKissick has big role for J.D. McKissick over the past few years in Washington that Gibson could take. Collins, targets, Mims, opportunity. Lazard, Rodgers' old buddy, old band's back together. I could see him getting like 7 or 8 touchdowns with Nathaniel Hackett and company. Jets defense, strong. Cole Kmet, George likes that one. Got a Cole Kmet. So a bit of a safety valve there. Wilson, be patient, but, in a few weeks, maybe a larger role there. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a deep threat guy. I like Deuce Vaughn is like a little gadget player. And, I think he's another guy that when the ball's in his hands, Eric, I don't care how small he is. Like,
he's
electric, like Darren Sproles. He's electric, and they're just going to find ways to give him a couple touches a game.
Yeah, the drum beat has been constant, and when we saw him move and play in the preseason, he's electric. I mean, electric. Like, I get that he's small, but he's short, but he's pretty thick, right? And sometimes being short can be an advantage because you can't see him. And that sounds nuts and made up, but the linemen are always so big and so tall that you don't see him to the last second, and he's so explosive that he's past you before you can get a hand on him. Often do we see Darren Sproles do this, right? Like Darren Sproles was tiny by NFL standards, and Deuce Vaughn is the exact same kind of player. I'm not saying he's going to be Sproles, because Sproles was just a superstar player and was almost the entire time he played in the NFL, whether it was for the Chargers or for the Saints. But the reality is Deuce Vaughn could be that guy. Pollard's going to be the number one, but they don't want Pollard touching the ball 25 times. They've shown that. Tony Pollard has been an unbelievable athlete and an unbelievable running back the entire time he's been in Dallas. And they're not paying Deuce Vaughn like they were paying Ezekiel Elliott, and they're obviously very different players. But I believe Deuce Vaughn's going to play a lot, and I love that pick that late.
Lutesta, Team 9 is a good squad here. Bijan, Saquon, you got your RBs. That's how you wanted to start. I typically don't start that way, but, man, you still got yourself some good wide receivers here in DK, Amari, Terry McLaurin, Mike Williams, some high upside. That's a good 4 for somebody who started with 2 bell cow running backs. Alvin Kamara is your third back. You can afford, to wait till week 4, and then all of a sudden you're playing him as your flex. Evan Ingram, Quentin Johnson, may take some time for Quentin Johnson, but it's kind of like you almost handcuff Mike Williams there in a way. With Quentin Johnson there, Tank Bigsby, you waited at quarterback, like you said, and I think this is good, right? You read the room. Everybody was drafting quarterbacks. You still ended up with Geno Smith, who was a top 10 guy last year, and Deshaun Watson, who has top 10 upside. Okonkwo, I like. You snaked me there. MBS is always going to be on the field. I think I'd rather take shots on some of the other KC wideouts, but he's always on the field. The other guys, you can't say the same. Got a good defense in the Ravens. Dowdle there at the end is like potentially the RB2 there. I like it. Good squad. I really like that squad. Good stuff, guys. I think we're going to get out of here. We saw Jonathan Taylor here, first pick in the 6th round. Is that too rich for you? I'll count that out, but ahead of Swift, Dobbins, Madison, Pacheco, Javonte, Rashad White, Cook, Kamara, Connor. Yeah, I think that's a little rich for me. Yeah. I would take all those other guys.
For me, I could be wrong, but I mean, at that point, that's too early to be risking. I mean, that your draft should be drafting a player that's going to start week 1, because the truth is by week 2, all of us could be wrong. And and you need to have a really solid starting lineup. He's not going to play, right? It could be 4 weeks. And then even then, we don't know. We don't know what his desire is. We don't know what his tolerance for not making money is. Remember when Le'Veon Bell did this? He didn't play for a whole year. Now, Jonathan Taylor hasn't made the money that Le'Veon Bell had made at that point, but maybe he's firm in his beliefs. As somebody that walked away from a pile of money from the place I worked at before the place I work at now, I'm not allowed to say the letters, but sometimes money's not everything. And he may not play this year. So taking him in the 6th round is too much of a risk for me, especially before the guys that you said, Pacheco, Javonte Williams. I'm not taking him before those guys. Those guys are going to start, and they could be very very good.
Yeah, Lou, you take what the draft gives you, right? You get Saquon in the 2nd round, you get Saquon in the 2nd round. I agree. I think you said it perfectly. Check out ftnfantasy.com for our rankings. It is a risky play. I just don't want to deal with it. He does have that upside in the ceiling to, be a league winner, but I don't know. There's bad vibes. I don't like them at the moment. And if you're gonna do it, he can't be your RB2. You got Cook in a timeshare, you got Penny in a timeshare. Harris is fine. Maybe you can roll out. I don't mind the backs that this team took after Taylor, but I think if you're going to do it, you want to have him as your 3rd RB, if not and know that it just could be a headache for you all year long. I think I'm just out. All right, Eric, George, it'll be fun to play this thing out. We'll have some fun prizes for the winner in this league, and we are going to say goodbye to you guys for now. So thanks, guys, for taking the time to hang out. We'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.